from where the St. Andrew's School was up to the museum, down Bencoolen Street, into Brass-Passa Road, up Brass-Passa Road, down by the cathedral, and back into Stamford Road. That was known as the Rickshaw Parade area. Before the war, prostitution again was under control because they had specific places for prostitutes. Like, for instance, all along the Middle Road, Malabar Street area, there used to be Japanese prostitutes.
So I'm hearing a lot of new things here. Pre-war Singapore and Middle Road was known as a red light district, a bit like what we know Geylang to be today. And apparently, it was known for its Japanese prostitutes. I'm meeting someone who might be able to shed some light on my initial findings.
Hello, hi Catherine, welcome.
Hi, nice to finally meet you. Thank you for inviting me to your home.
Oh, lovely, yeah.
Wow, you really are quite a history buff. Filmmaker and lecturer by profession. An avid collector of random old medical equipment on the side. Oh, and lifelong gamer. Okay. Back to business. What can someone like Wesley tell me about Middle Road? A lot, apparently. His interest in early Singapore history and passion in uncovering forgotten tales led him to write this book. The setting? Middle Road. And his choice of female lead? A Japanese prostitute, also known as the Karayuki-san.
Actually, we have the book right here, so this is how the book looks like. And basically, it's about the karaokes in Singapore. And I wanted to share with Singaporeans more about them because I realized that probably 99% of Singaporeans don't even know that karaokes did exist back then. And they were a significant part of our history and community as well.
Ah, okay. So what else about Middle Road did you find out while doing your research into the area?
I found out that Middle Road was actually a bustling Japanese little town called Little Japan, where they had many Japanese shops where the karaokes would go there to shop and also to serve the general Japanese community in Singapore.
Middle Road was such an important area to the Japanese that they even named it Chuodori, or Main Street. This is a picture of the Karayuki-sans.
Yes, and it's a photograph of them in a photography studio, and that's what they did a lot in the past. So it wasn't for them to, have the time of their lives, but it was actually so that they can do some form of advertising of themselves. So this is a photograph that will be given to perhaps potential customers to go like, oh, okay, that's someone I'm interested in.
Oh, okay. And what are these 6 pictures here? Because I don't recognize any of these streets.
So these pictures are really interesting because they depict the place in the past and the present. So for example, over here is the present area in the Middle Road area. In the past, you can see a little shop called Ichigoya, and that's actually a tailor shop. And over here is actually Bugis Junction area, and you can see the old shop house. Over here is Yamamoto Dentistry, and this is a place that's actually next to the St. Joseph Cathedral.
I feel like of all the 4 pictures, this photo is the one that really strikes me the most. That, they are advertising themselves with group photos, and it's sad, but it's it's a part of history. So yeah, I like this one. Wesley wants me to have an immersive experience of Middle Road as Little Japan in the 1800s. So here we are, tracing the steps of the Karayuki-san.
So the Karayuki-sans were Japanese prostitutes from the poverty-stricken parts of Japan in the 1800s. So do you know what the word Karayuki means?
I have no idea.
So Karayuki actually translates to gone abroad or gone overseas. And that's exactly what they did. They were actually sent from Japan to various parts of the world, such as China, Malaysia, Russia, and even here in Singapore. So, Catherine, we're around the middle of Middle Road.
The middle of Middle Road, okay.
And I like to imagine, where these Japanese shops were at. So I can imagine, perhaps the tailors were over there, or perhaps the laundry shops were over there. And for example, there was the very popular tailor Ichigoya, and there's the tailors which the Kariki loves to go to. That's where they get their yukatas and their kimonos sewn. So they were here from the 1870s to about the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, and then suddenly they just disappeared over time. So what happened was World War II. So when Singapore was under Japanese occupation, and after that, when the Japanese community had to leave Singapore, many of the shops had no one to run them anymore. Which is kind of sad because, in Singapore we have Little India, we have Chinatown, and I sometimes wonder, what if World War II did not happen? We probably have like a small Little Japan, Little Tokyo.
Yeah, this could have been Little Japan. Through Wesley's book and research, we can only imagine a time when Middle Road was the go-to place for the Japanese. But would it be possible to track down someone who lived here? Remember when Dr. Lai was giving me an overview of Middle Road's history? He mentioned a place that caught my attention.
Just before the war, right, there was a Japanese consulate that was set up around Mount Emily. It's probably around here, right? And they occupied a house called the Osborne House, which they sort of bought over from a Japanese dentist who was living there. One of the reasons, of course, was that it overlooked the entire Middle Road. So it's almost like a place of governance, right, overlooking the most important street regarded by the Japanese community.
Wesley also mentioned the same building.
And what about this one?
These are the Japanese consulate buildings, I believe, and this was down the north side of Middle Road.
Mount Emily Villa, also known as Osborne House,